history that we were all taught growing up is wrong. My name is Scott Wolter, and I'm a forensic geologist. There's a hidden history that nobody knows about. There are pyramids, chambers, tombs, inscriptions. They're all over the world. We're going to investigate these artifacts and sites, and we're going to get to the truth. Sometimes history isn't what we've been told. Somewhere here in the Superstition Mountains lies the most storied treasure in American history. At least that's what the legends say. It's called the treasure of the Lost Dutchman, and I'm trying to find it on a piece of private property never searched before. Clues, carvings, and even a curse figure into this million-dollar mystery and are what led me here. But my quest to crack the case began with a tantalizing clue I read about. A treasure map carved in stone that just might lead right to it. As the story of the Lost Dutchman goes, a man named Jacob Waltz discovered a massive mine that made him rich beyond his dreams. Everything he bought, he paid for with pure gold nuggets. Over time, what began as a simple story of a lucky strike took on a life of its own. The legend of the Lost Dutchman was born. No one knows how much gold Waltz left behind when he died. In fact, people can't even agree on what kind of gold it is. Gold nuggets or gold deposits still lining the walls of his secret mine? I, for one, intend to find out with the help of people who know the story. This wasn't too tall of an order to have us meet here, was it?
Not at all. It's the most beautiful place on earth.
Yeah, it is. I understand you have a lot of history here.
Well, my interest dates back to 1944. My dad was always a big believer of this lost mine, and I sort of followed in my father's footsteps, collecting and researching material and trying to put it all together and figure out if there's any truth.
Most of the myths say that the legend of the Lost Dutchman mine seems to be somewhere out here.
Well, the stories are it's behind that mountain somewhere.
Do you think that this mine exists? What's your thoughts?
I know a lot of good men that have spent a lifetime back here looking for it.
Okay. And they haven't found it?
And they haven't found it. I know 2 actual homicides that ever occurred back there.
Associated with looking for gold?
Right.
Okay.
Ever since I was a child, I've heard about the curse of the thunder gods.
Native Americans believe the thunder god protects the sacred Superstition Mountains. As the protector of a great treasure, legend says he punishes trespassers. Some people attribute it to a curse. Maybe it's just simple greed.
Greed and also the lack of knowledge and survival in there. Probably the most unique piece of evidence is Peralta stone maps. However, half the people believe them, half the people don't believe them.
The Peralta stone maps are what enticed me to come here to look for the Lost Dutchman's treasure. They were named after a mining family in the area that supposedly found the Lost Dutchman's mine and carved the maps to lead them, and only them, right to it. No one really knows what they mean. Supposedly, the heart of the Peralta stones is a big deal. It's considered the key to the entire map. There's also a horse, what looks like a year, 1847, and a figure some have identified as either a priest or a banker. If I can figure out what they mean, and if they're authentic, I might be able to turn up new leads on the location of the mine and the treasure.
There are so many people that believe they are absolutely authentic. There's all kinds of interpretations.
Sure. If there's one thing that I've learned through looking at many different inscribed stones, there's always something to be learned from them. And I think you'd be making a mistake if you underestimated the potential value of these.
They were first found in 1949. There's two stories how the guy found them. He stopped his car along Old Highway 60, got out to go take a leak, and he stumbled onto these. The other story is that a Mexican laborer, he uncovered them, and he seen that they were strange and had Spanish writing on them.
You know, in spite of all the stories I've heard many times, carved stones being fake, being real, there's only one way to find out, and that's to get your eyeballs on them. So is it possible I could see these stones?
Yeah, I have a good friend, Ron Feldman. He's sort of an amateur geologist, and he ought to be able to help you find the originals.
If there's any chance that these things are real and that they possibly have a clue that can help us find this mine, I've got to take a look at it. And if Ron is the guy that can help me see these stones, that's my next stop. The allure of a treasure just waiting to be found has attracted thousands of people here to the desert. Some of them never made it out. If there's a curse here, I don't buy it. But there's no denying some people would kill to find the treasure, and apparently have. In 1931, the body of Adolf Ruth was found without his head, which turned up a half-mile away. But more often, a silent killer is to blame, the desert itself. In 2010, 3 Utah prospectors' bodies were found. They died after getting lost in the heat. And in 2013, a Denver man whose room was littered with treasure maps and clues he thought would lead him to the treasure reportedly stumbled off a cliff and plunged to his death. I need to search smarter, and if there are clues on the Peralta stones, I need to see them firsthand. So Ron, I recently met with somebody I think you know, Tom Collenborn, is that correct?
That is correct, good friend of mine.
He said that you might be able to help me understand a little bit more about the Lost Dutchman Mine, and specifically about the Peralta stones.
Well, I've hunted the Lost Dutchman Mine for 48 years now, and researched it and been in the field. The rock maps were definitely part of my search for a couple of years. I investigated them and where they came from, what they kind of maybe meant. There's basically 2 types of hunters for the Lost Dutchman Mine. Those that follow the Lost Dutchman Mine legend and all the stories that have been written about it, and then those that simply hunt it off the rock maps.
Do you think that there is a Lost Dutchman Mine?
Absolutely, undeniably, there is a Lost Dutchman Mine, and it does exist in the Superstition Mountains somewhere.
So you're saying you know where it is?
I didn't say that.
That's what I heard.
Well, anybody who has seen what I have, found what I have, come up with the idea that the Lost Dutchman Mine, number 1, does not exist, or number 2, it's not in the Superstition Mountains, is a moron. You know, most people who do not believe in the legend have never hunted for it. They've never put a spade in the earth. And the number 1 thing that's going to lead someone to the mine, if it has not already done so, is geology. It's geology, 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 and without that, you're not going to find it. All the stories aren't going to put you, because they're only stories.
Now, Tom said that you have stones, and the Peralta stones, to me, are a key piece of evidence in this whole mystery. Can you show me the stones?
These are the Peralta stone maps. And they are pretty intricate as far as the carvings and so forth.
I've seen a number of treasure maps on paper, parchment, and stone, and this might be the most elaborate treasure map I've ever seen. Can I pick this up?
Sure, yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Wait a minute. This isn't real rock, this is a replica. Wait a minute. Can I pick this up?
Sure, yeah, go ahead.
Okay. This isn't real rock, this is a replica.
These are not the original. They were made so you could hang them on a wall and you didn't have to front and back them when you look at them. But they are the same size, same scale, and they have everything on these maps that they have on the original maps. And I honestly believe that the stone maps are BS.
Okay.
They were created for a reason, but it was not for hunting the Lost Dutchman mine. But suffice it to say, they have become an important part of the story. A lot of people come hunting their treasure on it.
All right, just for now, let's take them at face value.
Sure.
Let's see if maybe we can find evidence that they are connected.
If you notice, this map and this map actually are front and back.
So these two carvings are the same stone.
That is correct. Front, back, one map. Same here. Front, back, one map. Right.
Okay, that helps me. I was a little confused on that before.
So you have the heart, and this, the closest that I might have thought at the time, could that be Weaver's Needle? Weaver's Needle is the most prominent landmark, a pinnacle in the Superstition Mountains. Like moths to a flame, all of the people that hunt this go to the Weaver's Needle, the Lost Dutchman.
Okay.
Don just refers to Don Miguel Peralta.
Okay, so that's where the name Peralta stones comes from.
Yes, it was the family of and relatives of the Peralta family, and they were prospecting mining gold in the early 1840s.
The Peraltas were an old and powerful Mexican family. Legend has it they were ambushed and killed because they'd found the hidden gold.
The 1847 is a very good date when the Spanish were in the Superstition.
Let me ask you another question just to get a little more context. Before these stones were found, and that was when, in the 40s?
1948.
1948, okay. Prior to that, was the Lost Dutchman mine a prominent legend? Did everybody know about it in the community?
Yes. The Lost Dutchman mine story and legend is the biggest and most famous lost mine legend in the world, and has been for probably a century.
All right. And the reason I ask that is because was it these stones that brought it to prominence, or was it already a prominent story? It sounds like it already was.
It already was, but these stones absolutely have
Took it
helped
to a new level.
Yes, that's
Okay.
correct.
Well, you realize that for me to really do anything as far as trying to find information that can tell us whether or not these are old or whether they're authentic, I need to see the real stones.
Well, that might be a job because they've been moved around from here to there, and none of us are really sure where they are. They're somewhere, but you have to track them down.
Okay. You know, I want to jump on something that you said before that I have to say I completely agree with you. Geology, geology, geology. You have to get off your rear end. You have to get out in the field. You got to get your hands dirty. You need to get out there to find this thing. So where can we find some geologic clues that may help us locate this Lost Dutchman mine?
Well, you want some geology? I'll show you geology. Just meet me out front.
So Ron, before you show me what you have,
I'd like to show you something.
Good.
Okay.
When I graduated from college, my first job was working as a field geologist for a gold company. And this is the kind of samples that we get with visible gold.
It's very, very nice. But now let me show you a real gold specimen.
Oh. Wow. That is very impressive. The gold is visible. It's all through the quartz. So this represents the ore.
That's gold ore.
Okay.
From the Lost Dutchman mine, probably.
The Lost Dutchman mine.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
How do you know that?
Well, about 1970s, customer of mine, his name John Cochera, told me a story that in 1962, he and his brother were out in the Superstition Mountains, and in some bushes on top of a mountain, they found some rotted saddlebags with 24 pounds of very, very rich ore. John was dying pretty quickly when I last talked to him. He said, "Would you like to buy the last 6 pieces? He knew of my interest."
Right.
I said, "Sure." We took Cochera's ore. We also had a piece of Dutchman ore that we know came from underneath the Dutchman's deathbed when he died.
You don't have it here.
No. But Dutchman ore and Cochera's ore were the same exact type of quartz, and the results were there was a 75% probability that those two ores came from the same place or a closely associated geological event.
Well, that's a pretty compelling argument.
Yeah.
Not conclusive.
No.
But compelling.
Nothing's 100%, but you go on what you got.
Okay. Well, this is all great, but we need to get out there, and I want to see some gold deposits, hopefully. I'd like to get a better sense of where the gold occurs, what the general geology is around here, because one way or another, I've got to find that Lost Dutchman mine, and I got to get my hands on those Peralta stones. The legend of the Lost Dutchman Gold Mine started with a guy named Jacob Waltz and has persisted in Arizona's Superstition Mountains for close to 2 centuries. It's grabbed the attention of reporters, treasure hunters, and now me. Some people think Jacob Waltz revealed the location of the Lost Dutchman mine on his deathbed. But I have to wonder if that's true, since no one's ever admitted to finding it. The key to solving this mystery may be comprised of the Peralta stones. 4 carved tablets that are mysteriously missing and said to be part of a treasure map. Treasure hunters have been using pictures of the stone maps to guide their searches for more than a century. Many passionate Peralta stone believers like Jim Sieglitz, the guy I'm on my way to meet, have reached out to me in hope that I can be the one to finally prove that the stone maps actually lead to the Lost Dutchman gold. Well, Jim, I want to talk to you about the Peralta stones. It sounds to me like you have some information. You know Ron Feldman.
I know of Ron, yes I do.
He thinks the Peralta stones are complete bunk. Obviously you don't, so I've listened to his side of the story, and I'm anxious to hear yours.
I've made a hard copy of each of the stones.
Okay.
A lot of stories have been made up. A Spanish gold train or Mexican gold train headed back to Mexico was ambushed by the Apaches. And that gold really has never been found. Some people say that maybe that's the gold that the Indians placed in a safe place, which the Dutchman found.
Okay.
Right.
So you think that the Dutchman, unlike many other people who think he found vein gold, you think he found a cache of gold that was mined much longer ago in the past.
Exactly.
Gold comes in 2 forms. Solid gold comes in the form of gold nuggets, like the kind you think of people panning for. Vein gold is the other kind, and is embedded in rocks like quartz. It has to be mined and extracted.
Now, to smelt the gold, you would have to have what is called an arrastre to break the ore down.
Right. Crush it up.
Exactly. And the smoke would go out through an opening in the top, much like what is depicted on the Peralta map. You have the tunnel entrance, and you have a hole.
And this was the Spanish way of mining gold.
Exactly. Now, when you look at this, one of the first issues that people bring up is the 1847.
On 2 stones, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
To me, it has nothing to do with a date. It is an instruction.
Okay.
Take 18, take 4, take 7. That instruction is the number of trail markers. The trail marker starts at the dot, okay? And the line tells you what direction to go in.
Okay.
So there's 18 trail markers, plus the last one, that's a symbol for gold.
It's a double circle.
Exactly.
A circle within a circle.
Exactly.
Okay.
It has 3 meanings historically. Symbol of the sun, symbol for gold, and a symbol for the star Polaris.
And the symbol of the creator, too.
Well, that's true.
Yeah. Just to play devil's advocate for a second, when we see the 1847 as what looks like a date, couldn't people accuse you of kind of picking the numbers you want?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
In trying to decipher the words that are here, you have to understand that the last thing they wanted to do was to make it plain to everybody around that may come into the mountains when they're not there, that that's what's going on.
Right. And they certainly aren't going to tell anybody. It's like you're not going to give away your honey hole for fishing or
the
hunting.
reason why it's stone. You got 4 stones weighing over 100 pounds. It's not something that somebody can grab, jump on a horse, and take off.
Okay. Well, I follow your logic here, and it does make sense. And that doesn't make it true, of course.
No, that's correct.
But unfortunately, it's very difficult for me to do anything as far as the stones go because I haven't seen the stones. I've looked at replicas, but if I was able to see the real stones, I might be able to say whether or not your theory is valid. So I'm hoping someday to see them. I don't know if that'll ever happen. At this point, I'm certainly going to consider your theory. I think this is really good what you've presented, but I also have to get up in those hills to hike around and see if I can find any evidence of the Lost Dutchman mine in a vein deposit. Now, if I find a cache, that'd be great, but I think my best chance is finding some of the vein gold.
Well, one of the areas that has been proposed by a lot of people is the eastern end of the Superstitions.
So you think that the eastern side of the Superstition Mountains is a good place to look?
Exactly.
Well, I can promise you one thing. I'll do my best.
If you find it, save a piece for me.
Deal. Back in the 1800s, Jacob Waltz was a German immigrant, a Deutschman who started spending gold nuggets instead of cash. People noticed. After Waltz died, the story of the Lost Dutchman Gold Mine spread. Over the years, many have searched for the treasure, and some haven't lived to tell about it. More than a handful of prospectors have died from the intense heat and harsh terrain, while others may have been murdered. I talked to a tipster who interpreted clues on the alleged stone maps called the Peralta stones. He just told me to head to the east side of the Superstition Mountains if I want to get lucky. But before I head out into the mountains, I'd like to hear where Ron Feldman thinks I should search. That gold that you showed me, that quartz vein that was peppered with gold, you got me jazzed, so I'm going to give it the best effort I can.
Good, good, very good.
I pulled out this map of the Superstition Mountains because I received a tip. Now this guy, unlike you, believes that the Peralta stones are legitimate and that they do refer specifically to the Lost Dutchman mine. And he thinks they point to the east side. I understand you're more than skeptical, but I have to check out every lead.
Well, everybody believes the Lost Dutchman mine is somewhere, and we're all in different places.
But you know this area probably better than anyone. Where would you suggest that I look?
The Superstition Mountain range is 160,000 acres, and if you dissect them a line from Canyon Lake southeast, you're dissecting it in western half, the eastern half. The western side, geologically, it cannot support gold deposition.
Okay.
The eastern side does. And there's some private land, which not too many people have gotten onto to prospect on the east side. And I kind of like you to go right about in here.
Okay. I think if this is the area you think is hot, I'll give it a shot.
Good, very good.
What do you got in your hand there?
This is a piece of what you don't want. This is fool's gold, iron pyrite.
Oh yeah.
Many people have led lives searching for this, thinking they were rich when they found it. It does resemble gold. Its luster is not quite the same.
During the California gold rush in the middle of the 19th century, Many prospectors hoping to get rich were fooled by pyrite, which is where the term fool's gold may have been coined. But it wasn't worthless to everyone. It's been used as a component in radios, as a source of ignition in firearms, and even used as a cathode in some name-brand batteries, the material that electric current flows out of. But none of those things mattered to gold rush guys trying to get rich. You know, the way that you can tell the difference between gold and pyrite, fool's gold, is if I take my knife, I can dent or I can part gold pretty easily.
Right.
If I run my knife across pyrite, it'll slide right across the surface.
That's right.
Because it's slightly harder. So,
That's what you don't want.
well, I don't want the pyrite, although gold does occur in pyrite.
It can run with pyrite, yeah.
But we're looking for quartz.
Wait, that's right. You're looking for the mother.
Right.
That's quartz.
Quartz is one of the most common minerals on Earth. The reason I'm going to look for it is because gold is commonly found inside of it. In fact, most of the biggest gold discoveries in history were found inside quartz, including gold found during the California Gold Rush. So, quartz is what I want to find here, on the east side of the Superstitions, where both Ron and Jim told me to look.
Well, two different points of view take you to the same place.
That's right. It doesn't matter how you get there,
No.
as long as you get there.
That's correct.
I really want to figure out if the Lost Dutchman Gold Mine is a real location or just an Arizona legend. And since I'm searching private land in the Superstitions that no one searched before, maybe I have a better shot than countless others who came before me. Two different people have told me to search here. They've got different theories, but both of them lead to the same place. This is the spot where legends and the Peralta stones, clues carved into a stone treasure map, seem to connect, right down to the circle on the map a tipster showed me. A symbol he says represents gold. There seem to be two possibilities when it comes to the treasure itself. One is that it's a stash of mined gold that was hidden away by Apache natives and discovered later by the Dutchman Jacob Waltz. The other is that it's a mine filled with gold still lining its walls. I guess the only way to know what the treasure is to find it myself. I'm checking the rocks around here to see if any of them are quartz with gold running through them. If I find some, they could hint at a mine nearby.
There's iron, a little sulfide there. Some promising indicators.
Whoa! Whoa!
Chrysocolla, azurite, malachite. This is perfect.
These three minerals are usually found in the same place as quartz, so finding them here means I could be on to the Dutchman's lost mine.
there's gold in here. This is perfect.
Who knew I'd actually find some gold to show Ron? But even though I found gold, I'm not so sure I found the gold. A piece of the Lost Dutchman's treasure that Jacob Waltz stumbled upon almost 200 years ago. I'm meeting Ron to show him what I found in a place called Goldfield. In the quest to find the Lost Dutchman's treasure, it's a place I think deserves a good hard look. Today, it's pretty much a ghost town, but in 1892, it was anything but. Just 1 year after Jacob Waltz's alleged deathbed confession of the whereabouts of his mine, someone discovered a mine here and extracted a massive amount of gold. What I want to know is whether that mine, called the Mammoth Mine, and the Lost Dutchman Mine could actually be one in the same. If that's true, people could have overlooked the fact that we've known where it was all along. Maybe the Lost Dutchman's mine was never lost at all. So Ron, this is the town of Goldfield, right?
Yep,
Let me guess. The name is self-evident, right?
that's right. These are the Goldfield Mountains, these were the gold fields, and that's the town right there.
Okay.
Goldfield was basically birthed because of the rich discovery of the Mammoth Mine.
Okay.
The Mammoth Mine at the time was the richest strike in North America.
So what are we talking about as far as gold content? How many ounces per ton?
At the time, 1892, 1897, there was over $1 million worth of gold taken out.
And what was the
That's
price
when-
of gold at that time?
It's about $20 an ounce.
At today's price, which is about $1,300 an ounce, you're talking about $65 million.
If you've got the math right, it is.
Huh.
Yes.
I've investigated mines before. At first glance, I can tell this mine produced some serious gold. But was it the Lost Dutchman's? And that whole area up there is green. That tells you mineralization.
Yep.
Metals are in there.
Yep.
Well, Ron, I was hiking over in the area that you suggested. Take a look at that.
Whoa, very good. That's the kind of stuff you're looking for. The right type of quartz. You've got your copper oxides, same as in the vein right here.
And I'm confident, Ron, that if we tested this, there would be gold in here because I think I saw a few very small dust-sized particles.
Do you think you found the Lost Dutchman Mine?
Well, you know what, Ron? Based on everybody that I've talked to so far, my conclusion is that I don't think the Lost Dutchman Mine is lost at all. I think it's more than likely right here.
Well, a lot of people many years ago would agree with you, mainly because it did produce a lot of gold back then. I don't agree with that, but certainly this was a gold producer. Could it have been the Lost Dutchman Mine? In a lot of people's minds it was.
Maybe there was a hot spot, a rich part of the vein that was found way back when by Waltz, and he mined that all out. But there's another scenario, and that is that both you and Jim were right, that the Lost Dutchman Mine is on the east side of the Superstition Mountains, and geology in this case is a clue that puts it over there. Hold on, I'm getting a text. Well, guess what? Not only do I think I've located the Lost Dutchman Mine, but the Peralta stones have been located too. The legend of the Lost Dutchman Mine and the treasure of Jacob Waltz has taken me deep into the Superstition Mountains and deep into a past filled with clues. Unfortunately, none of those clues, in the words of a gold miner, have panned out. I did find gold on the east side of the Superstition Mountains where the mine is rumored to be, but not enough to say convincingly that the Lost Dutchman Mine could be there. I've chased down clues carved into the Peralta stones that some say lead to the treasure, but since I've only seen replicas of the stones, there's no way for me to tell if the original carvings are old enough to be authentic. But all that might be about to change. Someone texted me an address for a museum. It seems as though these stone maps were quietly relocated here.
Well, welcome to the Superstition Mountain Museum. We're glad to have you here now that we're the official home of the Peralta stones.
Well, I appreciate that, but I'm a little confused. I was led to believe that they had disappeared forever, and they've been here the whole time?
No, in the past they have been in the care of the Flag Mineral Foundation. We thought the most appropriate place for the stone maps to be would be right here at the Superstition Mountain Museum.
Well, here they are. What do you think?
After all the searching, it's great to see the real thing. What's your take on this? Do you think it's a map?
Oh, absolutely. It's a very, very precise map, and every clue on the map is only visible from the right location on the trail, otherwise you can't see it. The horse represents Superstition Mountain.
Why would they relate a horse with these mountains?
The four legs of the horse represent the four canyons coming down out of the mountains to the south. And the tail, the last clue on the horse, takes us around to the map on the back. The map on the back identifies the trail you should take into the mountain.
And the trail map takes you to the end of the trail, which
Is the heart.
is the heart.
So that is the end of the rainbow. That's where the gold is.
I think that's what became known as the Lost Dutchman. Once you've arrived at the end of the trail, is you can turn the heart over and you can put it back in. And when you put it back in,
miraculously, the number 1 million appears. It's the 6 zeros. 1 million in 1847 was an unbelievably large amount of money. So 1 million anythings, 1 million pinto beans would make you rich in 1847.
Okay, the first thing I want to do is, I've got this portable microscope. I'd like to take a few pictures, close-ups, of some of the carved lines just to get a sense of what they look like. Let's go in a little closer. Well, they don't look like obvious fakes. And, you know, especially when I look at this stone, they look like they have some age, especially the lighter colored stone, and probably are authentic. I think this is a map, just like you said it was. Now, whether it's to the Lost Dutchman mine or not, we don't know for certain.
That's right. We do not know that for sure.
Well, I've talked to a number of people, and they all think they know where the Lost Dutchman mine is. But based on everything that I've seen, there's only one person who knows for sure. In the end, nothing about the Lost Dutchman mine is 100% certain, other than that there was a German immigrant named Jacob Waltz, and a lot of people thought he had lots of gold. Waltz himself might be the only one who knows where his legendary mine actually is, a secret he appears to have taken with him to the grave. The Lost Dutchman Gold Mine is an obsession for some. The legend clearly has a hold on Tom, Ron, and Jim, 3 guys I met in Arizona. When I got home, I wasn't really sure if the Lost Dutchman Gold Mine even existed. Then I received an anonymous tip, a tantalizing picture of a glittering mine that leaves the door open to the mystery. People say there's a curse associated with hunting for the mine. I don't believe in curses, but I bet people whose loved ones died looking for the treasure may. The story of Jacob Waltz is certainly an American legend, but is it more than that? Maybe one day I'll find out.